Welcome to Nation of Animation, a cartoon book club podcast for all ages. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Stevens.
And I'm the other one of your hosts, Brooke Aaron Smith.
And today we are talking about a very special show, one of Brooke's favorite shows.
It's not one of my favorite shows.
Her favorite show ever.
It's not my favorite show ever.
Her single favorite show that's ever been created.
It's not my single favorite show that's ever been created.
She has the merch. She has every show on DVD and Blu-ray.
She went and saw them when it's live on in concert. Cartoon Network.
Constantly.
No, only every
constantly
once in a while.
Constantly she's watching this. Well, I mean, Cartoon Network airs it constantly, so that one's not really on you. That's just sort of the reality of the situation.
Anyway, though, what is the show, Ryan?
Well, don't you know it's your favorite? Today we're talking about The Amazing World of Gumball. That is today's program. Ta-da! So, premiering in 2011, The Amazing World of Gumball follows the misadventures of Gumball Watterson, who's a little blue cat in 7th grade, and his goldfish / best friend / adopted brother Darwin, who was also in 7th grade with him, along with the rest of Gumball's family, his sort of type A, hyper-competent, hyper-organized mom Nicole, his goofy buffoon dad Richard, and his younger sister Anais.
Interestingly, I was doing some research about the show, and Nicole is voiced by Teresa Gallagher, who is British. And on the Gumball message boards, people will dissect when you can really hear a British accent, and they say it comes out on the word anything.
Because she'll be like, Gumball, I can't teach you and your sister Anais anything. And it's like, wow, that sounded different.
I'll have to listen to it next time I watch.
I haven't noticed that. I will have to check that out in real time. So episodes are, 11 to 12 minutes each and focus on Gumball and Darwin. Usually it's the two of them getting into shenanigans and misadventures, either with other students at their middle school or other people in their town. Creator Ben Bocquelet was hired by Cartoon Network Europe in 2007 to help creators pitch their ideas to the network, but he ultimately got a chance to pitch his own ideas using characters he had come up with for fake commercials that had either never been picked up or, had always just existed in his head.
And if you see, Gumball, the characters are wild. We will talk about this later, but I mean, any inanimate object, any animal you can think of, they're in the amazing world of Gumball.
Yeah, the first thing that really catches your eye about Gumball is about how there's no clear animation unity between designs. Gumball and his family are all 2D characters with a certain roundness to their edges, and they're all bright colors. Gumball and Nicole are both bright blue. Anais and Richard are both bright pink. Darwin is this really popping orange. They're, certainly drawn in the same style, but other characters are, claymation. Sometimes they're 3D models. Sometimes they're drawn to look more like anime style characters, or drawn to look more like, older Steamboat Willie type animation. Sometimes they are like full puppets or live action. There's one character who is someone's upside down chin with 2 googly eyes taped on it.
Sussy.
Yeah, terrifying character model. The world and the setting they're in is sort of pre-rendered 3D, meant to look almost photorealistic. So you have these 2D characters walking around these 3D spaces. The animation style is really rich and varied. They are constantly doing all sorts of fresh new things with how the show looks. That is probably the number one appeal to the show, is that it is never content to look the same from one moment to the next. Bocquelet left the show at the end of the 6th season. The show was thought to be on hiatus for a while. Now it seems pretty clear that the show is likely done at the end of its 6th season that has concluded. So Gumball is a closed show, our first show on Nation of Animation that is no longer in production. Granted, we've only done 2 episodes, but still, it's significant.
Still a big day.
This is another sort of episodic show. Things tend to return to their status quo at the end of episodes, or they certainly haven't changed by the start of the next episode, for the most part. Later on in the series, they will start to give us bits of Gumball lore, explaining why Darwin the goldfish is, sapient and hanging out and going to school with Gumball, as opposed to being in his goldfish bowl. They take a good long while to give us that information. And it takes a while for characters to seem to remember anything that's happened to them. There is Rob, who is Gumball and Darwin's nemesis, who comes back after a while. They sort of lampshade it in one episode saying, whatever happened to our nemesis? I guess he just gave up. Kids today can't stick to anything, which is a pretty good joke. So this show has a sort of fast and loose view of continuity, and it's really all about the sort of goofs in the moment, I would
Sure,
say.
but they sort of like build that into the show over time, especially with Rob, because he like disappears into the void, which is where all the mistakes of the town go. So it's like, oh yeah, they don't remember because it went right into the void.
Right. This show it's almost like a postmodern cartoon. It's like a show about how shows usually don't remember the bad things their main characters do and they just like can goof off every week and the rest of the world just sort of bends around them, which we will discuss in a couple of episodes that there is this like status quo that sort of permeates everything. Because Gumball and Darwin are children, they are also voiced by children, which also means that they frequently have to change voice actors. So people who have played Gumball: Logan Grove, seasons 1 through 3, Jacob Hopkins, seasons 3 through 5, Nicholas Cantu, seasons 5 through 6, Duke Cutler in the special The Curse of Elmore. Darwin is voiced by Kwesi Bocquelet, seasons 1 through 3, Terrell Ransom Jr., seasons 3 through 5, Danielle T. Hansley Jr., seasons 5 through 6, and Christian J. Simon in season 6. This is all sort of referenced in the episode The Kids, where their voices start changing and their voice actors get replaced. Again, this show is aware of itself in a really entertaining way.
I will say that the voice actors get replaced because as their voices change, they decide they will not be growing any older. And they don't have to. So they go back to younger voices than the voices that the original actors were developing.
Right. The cartoon's logic will not let Darwin and Gumball grow up, so they have to keep going back and getting new young identities for these characters, which is kind of, that's showbiz, I guess. So Brooke, what are your overall thoughts about this show? What do you think about the Amazing World of Gumball, your favorite show?
It's not my favorite show. Gumball is just very interesting to me. Before this week, when I was like preparing for this episode, I had only ever caught it on Cartoon Network. So that was just watching like episodes as they came on TV, and they weren't necessarily new episodes. A lot of them were just like reruns and stuff. It's a weird show, and what I really like about it is there's lots of freedom within the show. There are never any rules to the Amazing World of Gumball, which means that anything can happen, which is really exciting. I think where they really shine is with their animation. They're doing so many different things in every episode, which is really interesting to watch.
It's a stellar looking show. It really is just like really exciting to see what the magicians will do next for their next trick in the show's animation department. And the picturesque, the absurd like visual gags and goofs they really do to hit all sorts of notes. Yeah, similarly, I used to know this show only from like having Cartoon Network on while napping or like lying around doing something else. So it was usually at best a show I was half watching or half aware of. So to sit down and really devote time to watch it was a different experience and made me appreciate the animation more and the show's sort of willingness to not just, have a sitcom structure and, reset to normal at the end of every episode, except when it doesn't sometimes, but to really lean into it. I think this show does not talk down to its audience, talk down to its kid audience. Like, this show will often have lines about like gender inequality and like feminism. Not that it always like handles them super well, as we'll cover, but I think this show's willingness to just openly say that, hey, the voice actors are getting old, so we need new voices is a really fun and exciting thing for kids media. So now we are gonna dive a little deeper and look at the specific episodes that we want to talk about today. So we are going to go chronologically through the series here. The first episode I want to talk about is season 1, episode 18, The Refund. The basic premise for this is the kids bought a video game that they can't play and are trying to get a refund for it. But the cashier at their store will not allow them to because it is against company policy to give a refund for kind of anything. So it is just this great tug of war between the kids trying to trick the clerk and the clerk not budging to refund their video game purchase. That's really the whole structure of the episode, is the kids try something, it doesn't work. They try something else and it's funny and it still doesn't work. At one point they hypnotize the clerk, whose name is Larry Needlemyer, who is a recurring character and is always kind of working at a place where the Watterson family is doing something, so he always has to deal with their nonsense. He's like a thankless laborer in this town. He is working at this video game store. He's not depicted as the bad guy, even though he is the obstacle standing in the way, because he's not allowed to give them a refund or else he'll be fired. So he is unfortunately caught in the middle between these angry customers who are children and his unreasonable boss. And that is why Gumball is a Marxist cartoon, and is really, really concerned with praxis, and is really concerned about the plight of the laborers. And I really appreciate that.
Oh, you think?
I mean, I think accidentally. They clearly intended for Larry Needlemyer to be, a put-upon worker, because that's his whole bit. But I don't know if everyone on the writing staff has read Capital. But it is like a funny way to view the show, which I will continue to do for every show we talk about, probably.
I mean, talking about Larry Needlemyer, I love Larry Needlemyer.
He's great. He's a great character.
Larry Needlemyer works at every store in town.
Mm-hmm.
He has so much to do. And the Wattersons, which is Gumball's family, are always coming in there and fucking shit up for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot catch a break. And as I was looking up more about Larry Needlemyer, I discovered a corner of the internet that surprised and titillated me.
This is going to be the rest of the show.
There's a lot of...
Because this is all I want to talk about.
There's a lot of Larry Needlemyer / the reader fanfiction.
Of course. I mean,
so much.
He is the most, everyman character in the show, I think. I, too, have worked terrible dead-end jobs. And I, too, have, hated my boss, so...
I mean, Larry Needlemyer is obviously a sex symbol.
Obviously.
He's obviously what the people want, obviously.
So that's the title for this episode.
And it's usually Larry Needlemyer / male reader.
Larry Needlemyer said gay rights.
And Larry Needlemyer is canonically... He's at least not gay. He has a fiance, Karen. They mention it in the show a lot, but the internet has latched on to Larry as an MLM icon.
Larry Needlemyer said bisexual rights, and we thank him for his service.
Love you, Larry.
Love you, Larry. Larry's great. Larry is kind of the MVP of this episode because his responses to everything Gumball and Darwin do is great. At one point, they hypnotize him to make him give the money back, but even in his hypnotized state, he says he's not allowed to give refunds, which I think is just a very funny joke and also a good look at how deeply capitalism turns us against each other. Anyway, so another part of Gumball, and this is just a very funny joke, is why I really want to make sure I talk about this. Another scheme Gumball and Darwin do is to try and win him over with sympathy. So they record a Sarah McLachlan-esque this is what happens to a kid who didn't get a refund. And then they sing a We Are the World-esque song about refunding kids' money for video games. And in our previous episode, we talked about the Music and Bob's Burgers, which is Showstopper, where some of the songs here are really, really fun, but they never go that far. But they're better as jokes than songs, I think. And the fake We Are the World song they sing is a great joke and a really funny bit of showbiz from the two kids. It's interesting that they ultimately turned to their dad, Richard, to help. Richard, who was kind of a goofball, kind of an oaf, sort of a lazy layabout, as Brooke will talk about in her episode. But they ask him for help. He ultimately, accidentally robs the store to get their money back, which is a very funny bit where he's I'm just going to take some money out of the register and it's going to be fine. And then sirens start blaring.
I just feel why in the world would you ever ask Richard, this idiot, for help when you have supermom Nicole Watterson ready? And I know narratively why.
Because she would do it. Because they'd succeed.
Well, it would be too similar to the season, the first episode of the season. You've got the kids who have lost a DVD. It's at the same store. And Nicole has to come in and pay for it. So they had to get Richard in on this one. And I hate Richard.
Richard is a character with problems. We will be discussing that. But this is a funny episode of seeing Gumball and Darwin justified in their frustrations and justified in their sort of crusade to get what is rightfully theirs.
Sure, because they are not always.
They're our protagonists, but they're not always our heroes, these two. These kids are definitely kids. I think that's another good thing about the show, is that they are willing to let these kids be wrong kind of constantly, kind of all the time. These kids are messing up and doing silly, selfish things that they then have to learn about. So that's fun. Unfortunately, this episode does have no women characters. This episode crashes and burns. Not a one. It just crashes and burns the Bechdel test. It's really unfortunate. But I wanted to choose this episode because of its intense labor angle. and just because I do think that Larry Needlemyer is a character that we needed to talk about. So that is Season 1, Episode 18, The Refund. Brooke, did you have any other thoughts about this episode besides their folly for not asking their mother?
Yeah, I think it's a fun episode. The joke of the manager being just this tiny little non-threatening guy is very funny. And then another joke that I really liked, the game they bought was like something something 2000. As Darwin and Gumball are leaving the store like disgruntled, Darwin says, "Why is it 2000 anyway? It's not like it's the future anymore."
That
And
is a
that
good
made me
joke.
laugh. So I think it was a strong season 1 episode. It's interesting. You'll see like in season 1, the characters have oval shaped eyes. And as the series goes on, they have perfectly round eyes.
Strange.
What does that say about them?
What does that mean? It's nothing at all.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about a season 2 episode though. One of my very favorite episodes. I actually did see this one on TV first and then sort of refreshed my memory about it. This is season 2, episode 44. It's called The Job. So Richard, their bumbling rabbit dad, who I've already expressed my disdain for, accidentally gets a job as a pizza delivery man. When I say accidentally, it's like he called to order a pizza and he accidentally called the job application line and got a job.
What a doofus. What a goofball. He screwed up.
And then Gumball and Darwin try to help him because they know he's not going to be good at it. But he is relatively successful. And that starts to tear the fabric of their universe apart, like literally. So I will say this episode really plays into tropes that I hate with Nicole and Richard, because you've got Nicole as like the overachieving type A mom, and then Richard as the dad who stays at home and can't do anything right. He's just a big idiot. But I like this episode in spite of that. And I really don't know what it is about it. It's a charming episode to me. It's genuinely funny to me. I don't know.
There's also, there's just a lot of silly shenanigans happening in this episode. This has a lot of really good jokes. Like, Richard is eating from the pizzas he's delivering by cutting a slice down the middle, like a linear like ribbon of pizza down the middle, and then like squishing the two halves together so no one can tell anything's gone. It's a very good joke.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty good plan,
Pretty
honestly.
clever idea.
Like,
yeah.
I don't even care. There is a just totally wild joke in this one that when I saw it,
floored me too. This is
my jaw dropped. So Gumball and Darwin have picked up some pizzas that Richard has dropped, and they're going to take them to the delivery places. And they come to this house. I think the house name, it says like the Pepperonis or something. A male and a female pizza open the door. And they're like, "Oh, look what the storks brought." And Gumball opens the pizza box. They're like, "Oh, he has his father's eyes." And when Gumball goes to reach for the money, he drops this pizza face down on the ground, effectively killing this couple's baby.
And the pizza family, their faces just go blank immediately. Like they are in a state of abject shock as they look at the body of the baby that Gumball and Darwin just dropped.
This pizza is sliding down the stairs with like sauce dripping behind it.
And this scene takes its time. This is not a quick turnaround.
No. And as they're leaving, as Gumball and Darwin are running away from the scene that they have caused so much devastation in, Darwin steps on the pizza and like slides it across the ground.
It's horrifying. It is horrifying. It's also like, very funny because it's horrifying. How'd they get away with this?
Oh my gosh. So I don't know. Maybe if you, I don't even know. If you have experienced the loss of a child, I would not watch this episode, and I also would not listen to this podcast today.
We'll put a content warning in the description.
It comes out of nowhere. You would never know this was going to happen.
It is like something you would hear a rumor of on the playground. It's like, "Oh, did you hear they made a super messed up episode of Gumball where like, it's like, oh, did you hear about the SpongeBob episode where Squidward kills himself? It's like, did you hear they made an episode of Gumball where they kill a pizza baby?" But it's real. Also,
the banana and his family are in this one. They get pizza delivered too, and I hate that banana. The banana is a recurring character. He goes to school with Darwin and Gumball, and he's my enemy. I hate him.
The bit about his family is that like they go to deliver a pizza to this banana family, and they start singing
pizza,
or, like,
pizza,
chanting.
pizza.
Yeah, they
pizza,
sing pizza,
pizza,
over
pizza.
and over again. And they just keep doing it. And then they like flicker like a hologram.
Well, I think that's because the universe is starting to be torn apart at that point.
Oh, okay. I genuinely thought that like they were just not going to explain this. And that like, yeah, the pizza family's a hologram. It was this weird like David Lynchian, like, are they not going to explain this? This is kind of unsettling. And then they just moved on. But maybe it is just the universe unraveling because Richard is holding down a job.
Anais has a great line in this one. Anais is great. I know, Ryan, I know she's your favorite character on the show.
Anais is the best character in this show. Anais and Nicole are the best.
Anais is 4 years old, and she's the smartest member of the family. And she's so funny. But she has this line. I wrote it down because I wanted to read it. She says, Mom, when you say Dad having a job has upset the fundamental balance of the universe, are you sure you don't just mean he's changed the balance of power in the house and that upsets you because you're a little bit of a control freak? Oh, it was so good. The way she delivers it is great. I love it. I love Anais. That seems so plausible. Like, of
Mm-hmm.
course, Nicole would feel that way. Like, this is the reasonable, explanation because Nicole knows something is wrong. She knows the universe is being torn apart and no one believes her until the end.
I mean, because she's had to be the one in control for the duration of their relationship. So, of course, she's going to feel a seismic shift here. It also happens to be literally unraveling everything.
And then, so as the episode goes on, Larry Needlemyer's in this one too.
He's back.
Sex symbol Larry Needlemeyer is back because he's Richard's manager at the pizza store. And he cannot fire Richard without just cause. So they are driving around town trying to find out, like, what are we going to do to fire Richard? Eventually, Richard's excellent plan of taking the middle out of the pizza is what gets him fired. Understandably.
Which is a shame. Punished for genius.
And the universe is saved, blah, blah, blah. But speaking of, the fabric ripping part of the universe, that's the coolest part of this episode. There's a lot of awesome animation going on in this one as the universe changes around them. It's really impressive. Like, they'll change to, like, 8-bit and then go claymation and then go 3D. And then they're, like, just real-life objects. Like, Nicole turns into a tabby cat. A real tabby cat. And it's just so good. And there's this like chanty choir music building up the drama.
The music bit is incredible. This bit is like Bob's Burgers song level good, where like Richard is singing a pizza song that eventually gets like an operatic underscore that turns into like video game boss music as he gets closer to delivering this pizza.
To me, this one, I said before, I think they really succeed in going out of the way, pushing the bounds of animation. And I think this episode is really, really indicative of that, which is a big reason why I picked it and why I like it so much.
Absolutely.
So that's The Job. I think it's a great episode, no matter what toxic tropes it reinforces.
The Job really, it spins the sort of like thread of troublingly outdated gender roles into some real gold.
Agreed. Ryan, I know you've got the next episode. We're sort of working chronologically. From season 4.
This is season 4, episode 4, The Others. This one is about Gumball and Darwin realizing that other people are in the world besides them and like the people in their grade. It begins with Gumball and Darwin realizing that Anais, who is 4, goes to their school and is in the 8th grade because she's a genius, which leads to Darwin and Gumball expanding their mind and seeing everyone in the school who isn't their friend, and leads to them getting involved in the affairs of a girl named Claire, who's an 8th grader who is moving out of town. Claire's design is fun because she has like droopy hair over one eye. She has a long hoodie with like long sleeves that go over her hands. When she moves, her design is like this like really bold pink and green color patterns. And I wish I had the words for what this animation style is, but like when she moves, it is like a cutout moving over a larger like piece of fabric. If you saw the show Chowder from like forever ago, those characters did something similar where the sort of colors would change on the bodies, but they would still look the same. It was just sort of like, I don't know, like there was a sense of motion when they moved that was really, really different to look at and see on the show, which is already so full of so much like different animation. So Claire does not know anything about Gumball and Darwin. She doesn't know them from Adam. She's caught up in her own life because she is moving away from their town of Elmore, California, because her dad lost his job. Her family has lost their house. It's pretty grim. It's like pretty bleak that she has to like say goodbye to all of her friends because her family has to move away.
And she's like narrating her life as a diary entry.
Well, there's a fake credit sequence. There's like, we are no longer in the Amazing World of Gumball. We are in the so-called world of Claire. And Claire is like her own main character in her own story. She's worried about saying goodbye to all her friends and her boyfriend and her favorite teacher, Mr. Cornet, who was like a half pixelated frog guy.
And he's also horny as hell.
Mr. Cornet has some problematic energy he's given off. He's like lounging in his chair. It's unfortunate. So we meet a bunch of other characters along with Mr. Cornet, the weirdly horny frog teacher. There's Wilson Bilson, who is a like pencil sketch animated on a piece of paper, which is a really cool visual. Like he's a 3D model of a piece of notebook paper, and then on that there is like a black and white sketch moving around. He's like an anime face boy who has a drum major hat and a cheerleader skirt and a football player body. He's having an identity crisis because he's like 4 things drawn together. There's Jared, who's Claire's boyfriend. I don't really know what to say about his design. He's just like a cartoon character looking guy. He's got a big nose and big eyes, like weird hair. Yeah, and we meet all these characters, and Claire is giving a voiceover where she says, "Where's the good and goodbye?" Because it's Moody Town, baby.
And then Gumball chimes in and says, "It's right before the bye."
Yeah, no, Gumball and Darwin insert themselves in her narration, which is very good.
Gumball will come in and say things like, "Everything looked dark, but then I met two boys I'd never seen before, Gumball and Darwin."
And good thing Gumball was about to solve it all.
And Claire hates them.
Yeah, Claire can't stand these two. For good reason. She's having a rough day, and these two goobers are about to make everything about them. Because Gumball and Darwin have decided to selfishly repair their selfishness by making Claire's problems about them and fix her life and fix her situation. So they try to talk to Jared, who's Claire's boyfriend. They try to talk to Wilson, who's Claire's best pal. They really insert themselves in her problems, making her last day at school much worse. And at one point, Anais takes Claire aside to tell them to just let them help her. And Claire says, "They seem bad at helping." And Anais says, "Oh, they are." But it's much worse if you don't let them just do what they want to do, which I think is proven by the rest of the show and the 3 seasons we've seen before this, where the kids do kind of just run rampant when they have a scheme in their mind. This episode does end on a positive note where even after they chase Claire down on the bus on the back of one of their classmates who's a T-Rex, they cause a huge crash on the freeway, but then tell her that they got her dad a job back, they bought her house, and she can stay at school. And it ends on a weird happy note of everything's good for Claire, but also she's just befuddled because she doesn't know what to think of these kids. Because what would you think of these kids?
I really loved that. And it ended in sort of a fantastical way, dynamic way, similar even to the way The Job did. It's this huge ending.
It's this huge set piece, yeah.
And Tina the T-Rex coming and tearing apart the bus and everything. That's so funny. There were a lot of great jokes in this one. I hadn't seen this one before you said you were going to talk about it. So it was really cool to watch. And I just think it's so nice to think Gumball and Darwin in their world really can fix anything.
These two do kind of have the power of God, which is scary, but it's fine if they're on your side, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Brooke said, there are a lot of great jokes in this episode. One I do want to shout out is at the very beginning, it's the first one in the episode, is that Gumball is saying he wants to become a Super Saiyan, like in Dragon Ball Z. And one, I thought that was fun that he just literally could say Super Saiyan, and there wasn't any parody version. It's just no, this kid likes Dragon Ball Z. And he's screaming and shouting because he wants to level up. And Anais is that's not real, right? He says, "I just have to believe in myself." Which, for all the anime kids who have grown up and now know they are not Super Saiyan, I'm really sympathetic for Gumball there.
That makes sense that you are.
Three single words, 3 short words for Brooke to completely unravel me. That makes sense. Brutal.
Yeah, super fun episode. I think in the way that it's tied together by these doofuses, Gumball and Darwin, it's really emblematic of the show, or I don't know if that's the right word, but
I'm kind of a sucker for when long-running shows sort of undermine the idea that their cast is the center of everything. Whenever a show is here's everyone else who goes to the school that isn't the main character. Recess, that cartoon, which we'll almost definitely talk about on a future episode, did this a couple times. Community, which is a live action show, did this once or twice. The Simpsons has done it once or twice where someone regular will be why do you live like a crazy person? You can't do that. You are acting like your life's a silly TV show. Not for me. And I thought this was a fun kids show version of that where it really challenges Darwin and Gumball's ideas of being the main character. Now, they do fix everything at the end, so I guess they still are the main character. But it is fun to just see what life is like on the fringes of Elmore, California in Gumball World. So for our last fun episode...
I've got the last one.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about the next one?
So for my second episode, I picked Season 5, Episode 33. It's called The Worst. And I'll talk a little bit more about why I picked it later, I guess. But the basic plot is all of the Wattersons, so Nicole, Richard, Anais, Gumball, and Darwin, have had terrible days. And they come home and they compete to see who has life the worst. So whether that's women versus men or adults versus kids. So we sort of get to see little vignettes showing their terrible days. And then as the episode goes on, they get to switch places with each other and see what's going on. So they each have different terrible days. Nicole was passed up for a promotion at the Rainbow Factory where she works. Darwin and Gumball were made fun of in gym because they accidentally wore a flowery shower gel. Richard, the fish seller at the mall, who is Larry Needlemyer.
Larry Needlemyer, sex symbol Larry Needlemyer.
Doesn't want to indulge him anymore by singing a song with the fish that he's not going to buy. And Richard gets angry that, like, people treat him like he's supposed to be responsible and have a job. And then Anais doesn't really get a little vignette, which is, I think, a weird piece of the episode. But she just sort of says people don't take her seriously because she's a child. So this episode, a big reason I picked it is because one scene from it is very popular. It's been gifted on like Tumblr and Twitter. And it's Nicole's little vignette where she's passed up for Employee of the Month because she's a woman. So her boss, Mr. Yoshida, who works at the Rainbow Factory. The Rainbow Factory is not as nice as it sounds.
Gumball is praxis.
They make rainbows, whatever that means. But they all have like lead and asbestos in them.
Mm-hmm. And Nicole like works at a cubicle. Like it's a soul-crushing corporate environment.
And obviously she works in a sexist environment because she's passed up and her boss says, we can't have a picture of a woman. It will distract all the men. Then who will be the Employee of the Month?
Her boss, Mr. Yoshida, is like a ghost. He's like, or like a demon.
He's a
like
cloud. He's
a cloud.
Masami's dad, who is the cloud student of Gumball and Darwin. Yeah, so I guess that's why he makes rainbows, because he's a cloud. But then Nicole's desk plant, not sentient, it's just an inanimate object.
Just a regular plant.
Gets a promotion in his own office.
And a company car.
Because he's a male desk plant. And then Nicole's male coworker takes credit for her report and also gets a promotion in his own office. And Mr. Yoshida finishes this sort of little scene by saying, you should smile, sweetheart.
Yeah, so very on the nose on what it wants to talk about. Very relatable depiction of workplace sexism.
Mm-hmm. So they all switch bodies, whatever. And at the end of the episode, they all come back and agree they're sort of like happy with their lot in life. Mm-hmm. So Nicole says she would never want to be a man, and Gumball and Darwin don't want to be women, and Richard doesn't want to be a kid again, and Anais doesn't want to be a grown-up, but she will have to be one day. And as they're all saying that, Nicole starts to say, you know, there are real problems here. Women are often cut off when they want to speak. And right when she's saying that, the show cuts her off, you know, obviously to demonstrate the point. I picked this episode because I feel like it comes so close to doing what I want to do with it without really doing what I want it to do. Because especially with Nicole and then Gumball and Darwin's problem. So Gumball and Darwin were made fun of at school because they wore flowery shower gel, and the other students were like, oh, that's a girl's shower gel. Girls are weak. You're weak. And it's like, well, this is the same problem that Nicole is having. Mm-hmm. So Darwin and Gumball are not having this problem because they're men. They're having this problem because the other men think that women are dumb.
Because it's just sexism.
Yeah. But the episode won't say that, though.
Right. The episode kind of wants to, like, have its cake and eat it, too, where it wants to depict these, like, societal problems, especially in the gender side of it. The age side of it is more just built around, like, silly jokes. But, like, Gumball and Darwin being mocked for, I think the quote is, like, not smelling like the chemicals we associate as masculine, is, like, one of their classmates says. And then Nicole being mistreated and passed over at work. It wants to show these things are bad, but it still wants to, you know, cash in on them for humor. At the end of the episode, it still interrupts Nicole mid-sentence to make a point about how women are silenced and not allowed to speak. And it is just not the most well-handled way to tackle these issues, I guess.
Yeah, I just felt like there was more that they could be doing with it.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
I will say that reviews about this one, though, also have, like, angry men being like, how dare you talk about this on a kid's show? So really, you know, in a way, I do feel bad for the writers because it's like they can't win either way.
It's the four female Ghostbusters vine. Gender issues on Gumball, the feminists are taking over.
So yeah, I like the episode. I like what they were trying to do, but obviously I have my issues on it. Gumball itself, though, does have predominant cast of male writers. You can check the credits before every episode and it'll say the writers' names. Mm-hmm. And they're usually all men. Sometimes there's a woman thrown in there, but it's a pretty male-heavy production team. Right. You'll see, like, Mick Graves was the series director for several years, and he directed almost every episode. And then Ben Bocquelet, obviously, is the series creator and does a lot of the writing, too. So I do not hate this episode. I really do like it, and I think that, you know, it says a lot of important things, but it just didn't quite get there all the way for me. Also, there's a Wolf of Wall Street reference in this episode that Ryan told me about that I didn't know because I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, it's in Nicole's flashback to when she's being mistreated at work. Mr. Yoshida, like, leads the houseplant and Nicole's coworker, who is just like a chimp, into a private meeting where they start, like, thumping their chests like the Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio scene in The Wolf of Wall Street, where they also thump their chests, and a sign of like masculine posturing, which I thought was a funny thing to put in a kids show. Wolf of Wall Street, not exactly a kids movie. I always think it's strange when like kids shows reference thing for adults. Like I get it, it's for the parents who have to watch their kids shows too to get a joke every now and then. But it was just a strange moment.
Talking a lot about the end of this episode gives us a nice segue into the next thing we want to talk about, which is the sketchy side of Gumball. We've already brought up a lot of these things, but just to reiterate, Gumball as a whole, especially the Watterson family, does rely a lot on sort of tired gender roles that we see in shows like King of Queens or
any Tim Allen project ever.
Yeah. Or even, I would say, The Simpsons, too.
Oh, yeah, no. Guy. Richard and Nicole are definitely cut from similar cloth as, like, Homer and Marge, but just, like, made a little more family-friendly.
Because Richard is such a bumbling fool, you know? He really can't do anything right. He even, like, cooks dinner for the family, but they say several times he can't cook. He cannot get a job, we learn, because the whole universe will fall apart. And he also spends all of the money.
The not getting a job thing is so funny because it seems to suggest that God will not allow Richard to succeed. Like, it's not just that he's, like, foolish or bumbling. It's that he is fated, like a character in Greek tragedy, to never be able to get his act together.
Oh, Richard. I dislike Richard because of what he represents, but I don't really hate the character because he, like, really genuinely loves his family and stuff. They talk about that in the episodes, like, The Hero, where the kids start to look down upon him and he sort of has to win their love again. But Nicole is just so obviously, if you're talking about hot cartoon characters, Nicole is
sex
hot.
symbol Nicole Watterson.
Even more than Larry Needlemyer.
That's high praise.
Okay? And then, you know, they carry this over, I would say, even into, like, Anais in comparison to Gumball and Darwin. Because she is so competent. And, you know, they say she's a year ahead of them in school and she's 4 years old.
Yeah.
She often has to fix their problems. But I will say they do a little better with her because sometimes her arrogance gets her in trouble and then Gumball and Darwin have to come fix problems for her.
Yeah, what's cool about Anais is that, like, they write her like a very, very smart 4-year-old, and that she's, like, more competent than her brothers, but she is still at times, like, yeah, like, arrogant or, like, sort of stubborn the way a child would definitely be. And it, like, really sticks the landing a lot of the times about Anais being this, like, hyper advanced in intelligence but not in, like, experience. But it is still this kind of trope of, like, the super smart and, like, dangerous sister. I mean, that's like Phineas and Ferb has that going on. Megan and Drake and Josh is this trope also, where it's like, oh, the sister, the crafty woman next door, like little girl, I guess. So I don't know. It's a curious gender balance there too.
Speaking on other things, this is specifically with Richard and other things. This isn't Richard the character's fault as much as it is the show's fault. So it plays a lot into the stereotypes of fat people. So they often mention that Richard is fat, and because he is fat, he is also lazy and stupid. And they also mention other people's weight all the time. Like, I cannot count how many times Gumball and Darwin were calling someone fat. Like, as a negative sort of connotation with that. I can think of another joke where, like, Darwin is very offended when he thinks Gumball has said his face is fat. And Gumball says something like, no, you're not fat. You're fine. You know? And it's just little things like that are like, come on. Aren't we
better
we
than
moved
this?
beyond this?
It's a shame we're not, I guess.
You know, and I might ask you to cut this out because I don't want to sound like shrill or whatever. But it's a, you know, a production team and a writing staff of predominantly men. And I think that's how these things are still slipping through the cracks. Not to say that there can't be men on the writing staff. Obviously there can be. But if you had maybe 2 more women, I think you could avoid some of these negative tropes and stereotypes that they put in there.
Because there is like a gendered element to like body image too a lot sometimes. And it is like who we view as needing to have a certain body type. There are different standards in place for different gender presentations.
Yeah.
I also think this is obviously less socially prescient than their handling of fat phobia or like gender representation. But I think the sort of high energy quality of the show, and then they're cramming all these plots into 11 or 12 minutes, means the pace is really fast, and that if you watch a lot of these episodes like we did, it's kind of like shoveling mouthfuls of candy. It made me a little like sick. God, I've watched 4 episodes of Gumball. It's been 44 minutes, but I feel like I've watched 2 hours of entertainment because there's just, it's it's a strong flavor. So not the most bingeable show, but
Yeah, I agree, though. I think it is a great show to like fall asleep to or to have on in the background while you're not really focusing on it.
for sure. So those are our sketchy side of Gumball thoughts. Next, we're going to our next segment, our sort of final Gumball focus segment. This week's segment is called Fan Art, where we are going to take a spin making our own or pitching our own episodes for the show. Every episode of The Amazing World of Gumball has the title convention of just being like the blank. So we are going to give each other a Gumball episode title and then riff an episode summary around that. Brooke, would you like to pitch one or give me a name first?
I would like you to give me a name first because I think thinking of a name is the hardest part.
Okay, great. So your episode is named The Moth.
The what?
The Moth.
Oh, okay. All right, so Gumball and Darwin have been cast in a play at school, and they've got all their other little friends around them, like Carrie the Ghost, who we didn't really talk about, but is one of my favorite
That's a great character.
And then like Penny and the banana and whatnot. But the lead is a little moth. And I think in the show it's an actual moth. Like they haven't drawn it. It's a moth. And they start to rehearse and everything's going great. And then they get into tech and the spotlight gets put on the moth. And it goes and hits it and dies. It gets zapped right then. So then Gumball and Darwin both have to trade off on the lead lines.
Oh, that's good.
They dress up as a moth so that no one knows it's not the moth anymore. And they have to try to save the show.
Very cool. Nice. I would watch that episode.
Yeah, pretty good.
Great.
Pretty good. I just thought of it myself.
So that's The Moth. Great. A great season 7 episode of Gumball.
All right, now you. So Gumball, unlike, last week we talked about Bob's Burgers and how they do great holiday episodes. Gumball does not have any. It's hard to say if they have holidays. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm lying. I haven't seen every episode of Gumball, but I have not noticed.
They're not as regular. One. Yeah, I've definitely seen some Halloween episodes, but we don't need to dwell on this.
Sure. So my episode for you is just called The Holiday, and take that as you will.
Okay, so The Holiday is about Anais. Anais has forgotten her homework for the first time ever. And she is so worried about her brothers finding out that she made a mistake in school that she says, no, we don't have school today. It's a holiday. And she is faking an entire holiday. At first, of course, it's just for her family, but then they tell other people, and she has to continue this elaborate con of making a fake holiday. It's called Ghost Hands Day, where you're not allowed to hold anything like pencils or paper because you have ghost hands. Carrie is extra suspicious because she thinks that she would know about a ghost hand holiday because she's a ghost. So it's a big Anais Carrie episode. And it's, for a change, Anais doing a weird scheme.
Nice. That was pretty good. I'd watch that one.
Thank you. That episode is called The Holiday.
Great.
Ta-da. Man, Gumball's easy. This is a great show. Really missed my calling writing for Gumball. Okay, so do we have any final thoughts or experiences about the Amazing World of Gumball we want to share to tie a bow around this discussion?
Sure. I spoke before. I'd really only ever caught it on TV, so it was a really interesting experience to binge it. And I agree with Ryan. It's hard to binge Gumball if you're really watching it. If you've just got it playing in the background, whatever.
Right.
But the animation really draws me in every time. I'm always interested to see what they're going to do. It's never set in stone. It's always something different and surprising that I don't expect. And that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, it is a visually rich show. Even if I don't know if there's a clear ethos behind it. I don't know what Gumball believes in other than, having fun with friends and family and some good, honest shenanigans every now and then. But I think that the main attraction for the show is its incredible visual style.
Agreed.
Great. So that's the Amazing World of Gumball. Now let's turn our eyes away from the TV screen and look out the window, you dang kids. Look at the world. What's in the real world, you dang kids?
Whatever, Grandpa.
Yeah. Don't yell at me. Well, you can. It's fine. I don't know. That's my grandpa folded immediately. Did not really stand up for himself. So, Brooke, do you have any real world recs for this week? Real world recommendations.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of music when I've been typing up my notes for this episode. I'm really into the band Muna right now. They haven't put out anything new this year. I think they've got an album slated for next year, but they're so cool. And I'm a Muna stan.
Nice. And how do I spell Muna if I'm trying to look them up?
Muna. Unexpectedly.
Wonderful. Muna. Thank you. That sounds great.
What are you into, Ryan?
What am I into? So things are getting a little bit cooler. There's a chill in the air, or it may have been there for a while, depending on when this finally airs. So my thing for this week is some nice hot apple cider. I'm really craving some really badly right now. I would love a good cup of that hot, spicy apple juice. And I look forward to having a nice supply for myself for the winter to come.
How very fall of you.
Ta-da! And winter too. That's like a Christmassy drink, I think. Well, listeners can tell us if it's a Christmassy drink or not.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us for Nation of Animation this week. My name is Brooke Aaron Smith. You can find me on Twitter at @TheBrookeSmith.
And my name is Ryan Stevens, and you can find me on Twitter at @RyanWithCheese.
Till next time.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Until next
the
time.
The state of animation is strong.
Strong.
Bye.
Nation of Animation is hosted by Ryan Stevens and Brooke Aaron Smith and produced by Danny Mendoza. Our show art is by Urvashi Lele, and our theme music is by Jacob Menke. Be sure to follow us at Cartoon Book Club on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for listening.